Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern Ned Reynolds in the studio, halfway point of the week. I got asked a few times over the last few days my thoughts on how long I thought Hollywood Brown would be out. And given the history of that injury with Tyreek Hill, I said, I think it was about a month at least. And yesterday it was announced he's definitely not coming back until at least, week 4?
4 to 6. 4 to 6. A lot of it depends on his pain threshold. And I'm assuming it's fairly heavy because, after all, he's an Oklahoma Sooner. He took some beatings down there, too. But Marquise Brown, who his injury is the key because it's a collarbone. They call it a dislocated clavicle. Clavicle's a collarbone, folks. And putting that back in place and having it solidified and stabilized can be a little bit tricky. But I think 4 to 6. I'm afraid he may miss the season opener and could possibly miss the Cincinnati Bengals game, the next one after that. But he'll be back. He should be able to play this season and probably at full strength. So we'll see. But right now they're calling it 4 to 6 weeks.
It's unfortunate, but don't let it get you down. We haven't even started the regular season yet. Yesterday was also a sad day for a guy who really was kind of a night when you think of basketball players, especially in this day and age. I don't know how this guy would have survived, but back in the day, even though he was not the biggest guy, he was something.
Well, in my boyhood, and I was an adolescent at the time that Frank Selby played basketball, he was an icon. Everybody wanted to score like Frank Selby. Went to college at Furman, and in one game hit 100 points a game. One of the nation's leading scorers, two-time All-America at Furman, and this is back in 1952, 53, 54, in that vicinity. This guy was a scoring machine, averaged 41 points a game. This is before Pete Maravich by about, 14 years. Selby was an interesting individual. He wasn't real big, about 6'3", which is fairly good size back then. Now it's nothing at all. Selby did go in the NBA, played for 9 years, mostly with the Minneapolis Lakers. He did move with the Lakers to Los Angeles when they moved out there, and then played for several other teams, but in pro basketball, it's so different. He wasn't able to achieve the allowance in scoring that he had in college, although he was a two-time NBA All-Star. He passed from the scene yesterday at the age of 92, living in South Carolina. But Frank Selby was one of the forerunners of today's basketball and a really, really good player.
He absolutely was, and kind of a prototype for the type of player you see in Stephen Curry. You know what I mean? He's kind of like that prototype.
And they both went to college at the same area, Davidson, for Stephen Curry, and this is
in the water over there.
I don't know what it is.
There's got to be something about shooting drills to let these guys do what they're able to do. It's unbelievable. Obviously, this area of the country is synonymous with the man Payne Stewart, so we just obviously had the awarding of the Payne Stewart Award. Who did it go to?
Well, the Payne Stewart Award is presented annually by the PGA to the player who best represents the virtues of Payne Stewart, which are the character, and he really was an interesting character, values and sportsmanship and things like that. And this year's winner, and there's a great note of irony in this one too, because it's Brandt Snedeker who wins the Payne Stewart Award, and he was presented with that prize last night down in Atlanta. Why is it ironic? Because while Brandt Snedeker is not from here, his mom and dad are. They're both Hillcrest, Springfield Hillcrest graduates. The mom knew Payne's dad, Bill Stewart, so there's a great familiarity there. Brandt himself grew up in Nashville and went to Vanderbilt, and he's a pretty good player out on the tour. He's not a consistent winner, but he's really in the hunt much of the time. But a good guy and a very deserving winner of the Payne Stewart Award, and interesting that mom and dad, Springfield Hillcrest products.
Yeah, really cool stuff, Ned. It's kind of interesting right now. Both the Cardinals and the Royals are in series with teams they are very close to in their division. Let's go with the Cardinals and the Reds right now. How'd that series go yesterday?
The Cardinals simply cannot hit consistently. They only had 4 hits last night. Of course, they're facing Hunter Green of Cincinnati. He's a pretty good pitcher, and he shut them down for the most part. The Cardinals' only run was a home run by Arenado, only his 12th of the year. My goodness sake, what in the world has happened here? Anyway, that's beside the point. Cardinals only had the 4 hits, couldn't muster any kind of rally, and Cincinnati wins by a score of 4-1. Ty France, whomever he is, and Yeimer Candelario had home runs for Cincinnati. Cincinnati hits a long ball. They're not a bad team. They're, 2 games, I believe it is, 2 games under 500. The Cardinals are now at even 500. 60 wins, 60 losses. That means there are 42 games to play. They're quite a ways back of the Milwaukee Brewers, maybe by as much as 7.5 games. And Mike, even though that sounds like a very catchable distance, and it is, it's a tough task when your team is just simply not hitting as consistently as the Cardinals can. So, indeed, a 4-1 loss. They play again tonight in Cincinnati, then take the day off and then get set for more really tough action for them.
You're all right about that. So now let's talk about the Royals, who are facing off with their division rivals.
And they got hammered last night.
Yes, they did, sir.
13-3. Minnesota 13, Kansas City 3. And here's a guy, Seth Lugo, who's been just lights out this year. He got lit up, folks. 7 runs, 9 hits over 4 innings. And you begin to wonder now, at age 34, has the season begun to catch up with Seth Lugo? Hopefully not, but he didn't have a good night last night. Max Kepler of the Minnesota Twins, 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs last night. That's a tough way to go. Minnesota, a 13-3 winner over Kansas City, and the Royals fall further behind the Cleveland Guardians and the Minnesota Twins. They will play again this afternoon. Now, the Springfield Cardinals did open up a series in Frisco, Texas last night and got a 3 for 5 night from Jimmy Crooks and beat the Frisco Rough Riders 6-3. These are the closing games now of the regular season in the Texas League, and Springfield's already in the playoffs. They know that, so they'll bide their time and see just exactly who they're going to play in the first round.
It's going to be tough. All right, now that the Olympics are over, I'm kind of sad, but at the same time, I'm kind of happy that everything else that happens during this time of the year gets to be back. We got NASCAR, and of course, we got golf. So when am I taking a nap this weekend?
This is this is interesting because the regular season in golf is over. It ended last week with the Wyndham Classic. Now you get to the PGA playoffs, or what are called the FedEx
Maybe
playoffs.
I won't be taking a nap this weekend.
Well, the tournament this weekend is the St. Jude Classic down in Memphis, Tennessee, and it's the first of the 3 tournaments that ultimately decide who wins the big prize. The way they work this is that there's 70 players, 70 qualifiers for this first round. So 70 players will tee it off in Memphis. Then the next round is out in Colorado. That's next weekend, not this coming. And the field is cut to 50. Then after that one, for the final round, the field is cut to 30. They play the first weekend in September, and they play in Atlanta. And Mike, the winner of that one, earns personally, $25 million. So needless to say, the competition is pretty doggone strong. Anyway, it's interesting the way they pare the field down, and we'll see who comes away now as the big winner in just about 3 weeks. Now, there are tournaments after that, of course, but as far as the PGA is concerned, this is their big payoff, $25 million for the winner.
Man, incredible. Well, good luck to all of them. I'm never going to see any kind of money like that. Ned, you have a great day, and I will see you on Thursday.